Von Fry, legendary badass, not shy, telling you how it is, Von Fry will die.
Recently, there was a very special episode of Glee that had a precursive warning across the screen going, "Oh, this depicts an act of violence. Viewer discretion advised." Yeah, this is gonna be one of them serious Glee episodes. What happens? You know, I only caught like a minute of it, and it was the damn right minute. It was Jane Lynch. She's sitting in the principal's office, Sue Sylvester, and she's like, "Yeah, so then my gun went off, and it fell on the ground, and it went off again," or something like this. And that was their big school shooting episode, Glee. The hell? Creator Ryan Murphy already did an amazing school shooting episode. That was on the first season of American Horror Story. So what was this? Is it a school shooting? Maybe. A gun went off in a school. Is it an act of violence? No! This show is entirely about putting Ryan Murphy's views on the viewer. He wants you to accept gay people. We're gonna have whole seasons about that shit. He wants you to feel that Christians are weirdos. Yep. And he wants you to think that guns are violent. Well, if you use a gun on a person, that's an act of violence. If I use a frying pan on a person, that's an act of violence. If I use a frying pan to make a quesadilla, is that an act of violence? Hell no, it is not. If I shoot a gun and it does not shoot anybody, is that an act of violence? It sure isn't. So for them to call this an act of violence is just expressing his opinion again. Guns are inherently violent. That's his whole thing. If you looked at that and you said, "Oh man, they had an act of..." Any media source anywhere calling this an act of violence on Glee should be entirely ashamed of themselves. In fact, Jane Lynch should just leave the show, because she should be thinking, I have the best character on the show. I have the only reason anyone with a brain would watch this shit. And they want to push this act of violence thing where it isn't due, and to try to ride the curtails of the Newtown shooting, which was an act of violence. Try to get some PR drummed up from that. Try to go, "Oh yeah, you remember that shooting? Yeah, we think it's now time to chime in on an act of violence." Kiss my ass, Glee.
Do, 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 do.